Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. Season's right around the corner, and so you got to get your team registered, get in spring, summer tournaments. They do a great job over there. Game7Baseball.com. Today on YBMcast, we are again featuring our GAC coaches preview with today's guest, Winfield Warriors GAC North head coach Jamie Stokes. Coach, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no, I appreciate it. I'm glad you reached out. I've been trying to get in touch with more guys from the North Conference. I love this part. It's fun. And not to mention, we were up. Do you guys still play at the park, or are you working toward a field on campus yet?
No, we're on campus. So it's been a little different. So in 2001, we built a new high school.
Right.
So the field that we had was at the old high school, which was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, as it kind of seemed.
Right.
And so this will be our fifth year at our new field. It's on campus at the high school now. So
very good. Yeah. Because it was 2016. Mm-hmm. My son's senior year, Zumwalt East went out and played Winfield. Okay. We were at that old field.
Yeah, back behind all the buildings, kind of a grass parking lot. Yep.
Yeah, and it was cold. That wind was just beating you to death.
The new field doesn't get any better. It's just the wind rips you.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Coach, last year 10-13 overall for 2022. You were 5-3 in the GAC North. You got 6 returning seniors. Are you feeling pretty good about where you're at right now?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, of those 13 losses, we took 5 real quick because we were in the Troy season opening tournament where we faced off against Timberland Howell. You know, it was a great experience for our kids, but it was 5 quick losses.
Well, but okay, but you know what? Like you said, I don't think there's anything really wrong with that in certain respects. Kind of maybe, okay, guys, here's a level. Can we meet that intensity, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean we started off with, and I'm terrible with names, but the hard thrower from Timberland. Throws upper 90s.
Yeah, you saw Hatchman.
We saw him right out of the gate, and you know, our kids handled it well. But it's something that it's a little story that they'll have for the rest of their lives.
I saw 95.
Yeah, we probably won't see that again, not anytime soon. So because we are not in that tournament again this year, we decided to go ahead and step out of that and let somebody else take our place. So
that's a bigger jump than what people understand from Class 4 to Class 6, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, it's a world of difference.
Yeah, and so let's get into a little bit pitching. You have a junior here that I mentioned. Brady Creech was 1-0, 3.11 ERA, and then there's some names we're going to kind of get into. Where is your pitching staff right now, depth-wise? Who are the guys you're looking at, Coach?
So Brady actually ended up being 3-0 on the season. He came on super strong late and ended up being like our number 2 conference starter. He's going to battle for a number 1 spot this year, and he is very much like a Josh Newell type guy.
Okay.
I think we're going to see his velo probably in the mid-80s, which is going to be very good for us.
Yeah.
It's something that we haven't had in a pretty long time. And then we actually have a sophomore, Colin Morse, who is, he pitched for us a little bit last year as a freshman. Actually, in that Troy tournament, he pitched for us a little bit and did a phenomenal job. Ended up not being quite enough for what we needed at the varsity level. Had a phenomenal JV season. He's had a great summer. He plays with the Mariners. Has just been developing like no other. He's gotten in the weight room. He's gotten stronger, and I think he's going to battle probably with Brady for a number 1, number 2 conference type starter.
That's really good, and that bodes well for the North because St. Charles West, St. Charles has arms. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure about Warrenton, but when you're going out conference, you have confidence in that Tuesday, Wednesday starters. You can piece together some, especially if you're scoring runs, right?
Right, and that's really been our big issue in the past is just our depth of pitching.
Yeah,
because I know, we're not afraid to play up. We'll play 5, 6A schools, and we hold our own. But when other guys go to their bullpen, we're stuck. So it's like because we got to have an arm to start, a Friday or Saturday or whatever the case may be. But this year, I'm very confident that we're going to have a little more depth. So, if our starter gets tired, we're going to have some arms. We have a couple big left-handers, not super big in size, but do some big things for us that are going to be able to relieve for us, maybe get a couple spot starts. And then we have, another sophomore that's going to come up, which is, sophomore is good because, years of experience at the varsity level. So we have some depth.
When you talk about depth, Coach, I've been talking with this from the south to the central, Coach Kendall over at Orchard Farm, to Coach Bickle at St. Charles. 4 and 5 class, Coach Hill. I know in Class 5, depending on the size, some are bigger, some are smaller, but you're still dealing with those numbers, maybe 50 to 60 to Class 5, but what are your numbers coming out? We talk about depth and that being so important. What are the numbers that you usually get when you're doing tryouts and things of that nature?
So we'll probably be around 35 kids. And the good thing about it is I get a lot of those kids in the weight room starting in October, and we get in and we kind of find out who they are and what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. And we kind of build so we don't always have to make a lot of cuts, which is good. It's hard to cut a young man who thinks he's a ball player and ends up not being. Yeah. So we're blessed enough to have enough coaches and enough kids usually have a C schedule. So we have a freshman team where they can really get in and kind of develop and get ready for that sophomore year, which is going to be a little bit harder on them in tryouts. Yeah. So we'll try to carry varsity wise. We'll try to carry 12 to 15. And then kind of just juggle the rest of those at the JVC level to, build them up to be ready for the coming years.
Why don't you grab that and pull that a little closer to you? There you go. Boom. Drew, can you put in the output? I don't know where it went, the clock. Can you put that back up there so I can see where we're at exactly? Go up to the full screen, the arrow at the down, and then it goes output. And it should be, don't move things around because it changes what's going on. If you moved anything, because it should be number 22 in there, or 20, it should be number 22 in the output number. Never mind then. I'll fix it later. Okay. Cool. Let's talk a little bit here about defense. Defense is always important when you're talking pitching. I'll say it again. I've said it throughout these things. It's one of my favorite things to say. I know maybe it gets a little old. People are going to go, yeah, heard it. Let's fast forward. But pitching and defense, right? It'll win you a lot of ball. Get hit. Well, if you got guys that hit bombs, right? Get one in the wind.
Yeah, not at our place. It's always blowing in.
But so we've talked about pitching. You've got a little bit of depth there. You're feeling pretty good about some arms. Yep. Who's that guy behind the plate? Because really, honestly, Coach, when you're seeing a kid throwing, 84, 85, not everybody can catch that.
Yeah, that is very accurate. So our catcher, the guy that if I was going to write a lineup today, Dominic Holmes, he'll be a 3-year starter for us. And had COVID not hit, he might have ended up being a guy as a freshman.
Yeah.
He's solid behind the plate for us. He blocks everything that he can get to, and he's come on real strong. His arm has gotten stronger, and he's kind of controlling some base runners now. Going into senior season, I think he's going to be one of the better in our conference, probably.
Right. Very good. And that's where it all starts, because you got to have that kid that your pitchers can trust, right?
Yeah.
And So when you're talking there, now let's move up the middle because as we know, we're building that from the inside out. Shortstop, center field. Who are the guys that are anchoring your defense there?
So we lost our both shortstop, second base last year, both 2-year starters with Nate Walker and DJ Gillespie. They were phenomenal, rock solid for us. This year, Brady Creech is probably going to anchor short. When he's not on the mound, he played third base for us last year. I think he committed 1, maybe 2 errors on the season as a sophomore.
Yeah, that's pretty
at
good.
The hot corner, and with our pitching, he saw. I mean,
he
with
saw
our
some
lack
hot
of eel,
corner
he saw some stuff. So I mean, he's going to be a name to look out for. He's going to be really good for us. I think he'll probably finish somewhere in the top in the area. In terms of defense, offense, he was a little slow to get started. Not a guy that strikes out a lot. So, I mean, he's a good player for us. Second base is going to be a competition. We have a handful of guys. Senior Peter Nickel could possibly end up there because, with Brady moving over to short, we have to fill third. And, I have a couple guys coming up from the JV that are more than capable. It's just going to be finding that perfect fit.
Competing, right?
And it's good.
Compete for it, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have competition on the infield. And you know what? If somebody comes out and they're better than Brady at short, we're better for it. So it's really in that situation, that's a win-win for us.
Yeah.
And then center field, we're going to be probably riding on Logan Havokin. He's a junior for us. He started mostly right field last year for us as a sophomore. Ended up being a second-team all-conference guy. Kind of snuck in there at the end. Very solid defensive player, fast, reads the ball well. And I'll be looking for him to hit the top of our lineup as well. So, I mean, we're going to be pretty solid up the middle.
Very good, very good. Your corners, I know you talked about the hot corner there. How are you looking on your corners in your outfield, first base? You got that big, tall kid that everybody can't throw it over his head?
He's not super big, but we have 3-year starter, Mitchell Wade. This will be his 3rd year starting. Again, unless somebody can come take it from him, which we'll have a couple options there. But he'll probably be anchoring first base for us and then corner outfield spots. Right now we're looking at, and I mentioned Colin Morse as a pitcher. I think he's going to compete for an outfield spot with another sophomore that we have, Warren Conrad, who's had a phenomenal offseason and played really well over the summer. Little competition there for right field. They have some pretty strong arms. And then we're looking at probably junior Cooper will probably be the guy in left field.
Yeah.
Cooper Martin had a phenomenal JV season last year. But just kind of trying to find out what that arm looks like. Right field, left field. Obviously, we're going to put our better arm in right field. But defensively, we have 3 guys that can really anchor the corners. And we're going to need extra guys because all of the outfielders pitch too. So
there you go.
It's, again, back to that depth of pitching.
Yeah.
I think
it's high school baseball.
Yeah.
And it's Class 4 high school baseball. You got to have those guys that can do – and it's tough because it's a difference between a guy that can just throw the ball and another guy that can pitch, right, Coach?
Right. Yeah, and up until this year, we've had guys that throw, and they've done well for us.
Yeah.
They've done the best that we can do, but we've really kind of dedicated this off season to kind of develop them, and they've had great summers, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes of it.
That's outstanding. So offensively, of course, Brady Creech, as we've talked about, he's one of those kids that just is right there in the center of it. Mm-hmm. He hit 300, 349, 357 RBIs, 11 runs. That's good run production right there as a junior.
Right.
So, you hope, as you say, he gets stronger. You've seen the league. You've seen those things. You got a young man that you can you're looking for him to kind of lead that group, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think he finished the year with 22 stolen bases. So, he is – it's just his baseball IQ is unbelievable.
And he's just a junior, right?
Just a junior, yeah.
Yeah, so that's impressive, right?
Yeah. Super excited.
And I love what you said there, baseball IQ. That's something we talk a lot about on our show. I know Mitch Thomas from the Hitting Zone. He comes on our youth baseball talk, and we talk about that because sometimes that's the ingredient that even if you may not be the super talented guy, if you've got the IQ up there, that makes up for some things, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brady's a kid. He's thinking one play ahead all the time. I mean, he does a really good job of reading players, on the bases. He can read pitchers. I really don't have to coach him, which makes my job a lot easier. It's in times I may look to him. I'm like, hey man, what do you want to do here?
You got Dominic Olms again. We talked about him behind the plate.
Yeah.
As a senior, you're hoping to get a little more from him from his bat?
Yeah, when he's hot, he's hot. I mean, He hits the ball hard. I think he had a couple games last year with multiple, extra base hits. But I mean, as you know, it's wear and tear back behind that plate, and I think he caught all but 2 games for us last year. So
that'll wear you down by the end.
Not too many excuses for him, but we give him a little bit of leeway. But
I understand. As long as he's doing the job behind the plate, whatever you get, I know you always look to, with the senior, the leadership. Right. You got to get as much as you can there,
right.
And I'm sure he's aware of that.
Oh yeah.
So we got Peter Nichols, Mitchell Wade, a couple other guys had some plate appearances. Younger guys that you've been talking about. Mitchell had 33 plate appearances. Peter 26. Those are guys that you're competing for spots, looking to be in that lineup. Where do you see those guys in that lineup, Coach?
Mitchell has some pop from the left side. Oddly enough, he hits left-handed, but he hits a lot of opposite field shots. Just his hitting style. But he will probably compete for a middle of the order, like a 3, 4, 5 type guy. Peter was up and down last year, but he always found a way to get himself in the lineup. Whether it was at DH or as a utility guy. He kind of picked it up, especially toward the end of the year, going into districts. Became a pretty good hitter for us in key spots too. And he's a senior leader on the basketball team this year, so I'm expecting to bring a little bit of that with him, and it does nothing but help us out. So.
You gotta love that stuff, right? Yeah. Sophomores, juniors, in this program, and this is one of the things that I enjoy about talking Class 4 baseball is because the dynamics are so different. We've talked about the GAC South guys, the GAC Central guys. They may end up cutting a guy that would be really good for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I talk to coaches all the time that cut guys, and I'm like, hey, you want to send them our way? Because
it's funny. I mentioned this to Coach Reeder. I was like, how come we should, if there's kids like that, from some of these big programs, they ought to put them in a draft pool and let the Class 4 teams in the GAC pick from them, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. I look at some of the talent that Francis Howell lets go, and I'm like, holy smokes, we could build another team here.
I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
Not making it. I don't think that'll go, but but it'd be fun, right?
Yeah, I'm down with just draw names and let's.
Hey, yeah. But because it's not anything against it. That's just the way those programs are.
Yeah, it's just the nature of it. Yeah.
They're bigger, and but I think it's interesting when you start talking about, especially sophomores. You're as your program, and you say you have a C team, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
you got a C, and so you got the JV and whatnot with 35 kids. There's some juggling there. There's some kids moving back and forth, right?
Yeah, it's very fluid. You'll have that handful of kids that are just C team guys, and you'll have that handful that are just JV guys. But there's a lot of back and forth with some of those guys, and some of those JV guys end up coming up with us on the varsity level every once in a while. If they're ready, when they're ready, and it seems to work out pretty well for us.
Very good, very good. How long have you been at Winfield, Coach?
Well, the only place I've ever taught.
Okay.
This will be my 5th year as the head baseball coach, 6th year coaching baseball at Winfield. I actually worked for Justin Rogers, who's at Troy. He spent a lot of years trying to talk me into coaching baseball. When I finally did, he left and headed off to Troy, and I ended up with the job. So I haven't looked back. Couldn't be happier.
There's, we talk about culture a lot, and with programs like this, it really culture. Your other staff, I'm sure you got a freshman coach, JV coach, but there isn't a lot of extra dudes and whatnot. So it really does fall on the whole program to really develop these kids, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's like I said, I'm blessed. They give us 4 total coaches. I have a volunteer coach who was a player for me, graduated from our program, came back. Dylan Noah, he takes our C team and works with JV. He's JV assistant, head C, does a phenomenal job. And it's
That's cool.
And with the way the schedules work out, once we start games, we're 2 separate programs. Like our varsity, we'll play 3-4 games a week. They'll play 2 or 3 games a week. We'll never see each other. So being able to rely on those guys to kind of keep our culture alive and keep our standards in place is, again, I'm blessed with a group of phenomenal coaches.
Go ahead and throw them out there. Give them some love, Coach.
Freshman coach, Dylan Noah. Our JV coach is Nate Bruns, who's also our head softball coach there.
Okay.
He's been with us for 2 years, going into our 3rd year. And then JV assistant Scott Whiteman, and he was working over at Howell before he came to Winfield, so brings a little experience there. And then Zach Waldron, who's our pitching coach, who's done a phenomenal job getting our pitchers up to speed. 2nd year, kind of helping out at the varsity. He used to be the JV head coach,
Gotcha.
But he kind of came on. We moved him up just to work with pitchers in the program, but mostly dealing with them at the varsity level, and it's been phenomenal. So hardest working group of guys. I think if you're not saying that about your assistants, you need some different assistants because these guys run the program.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be a tough conference, I think. I don't think Orchard Farm, I know they didn't have any wins in there, but they've got some good dudes. I don't think they're not a pushover.
Not by any means, no.
Warrenton is going to be tough. Of course, St. Charles West, Coach Allen over there is building that program. Well, St. Charles, I think, is going to be back. I think they're going to be a tough out as well. And then the new boys on the block, North Point, going to have to deal with a little bit there. Now, of course, it's a new program, but still, it's a little bigger school.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, we played them. We played them twice last year.
Yeah.
But they got some ball players. They got some ball players, and obviously, like I said, they're getting bigger, so they're going to have a bigger talent pool to pull from there. And I think they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I think it's a really, really good conference. So, folks, if you go out and support Winfield, folks, go out, support your team. Get out there. Cheer these guys on. The GAC baseball is some of the best baseball in the state. And I'm not talking just to the South or the Central. I'm talking about the North as well. Because, when you're talking about Class 4, everybody's competing. You get into districts. Who's in your district last year, Coach?
It was kind of a GAC North district.
Really?
We ended up getting knocked out by Orchard Farm. We played them twice in the regular season, squeaked away a couple wins, and then they came back and beat us in districts. And then they went on to get beat by St. Charles West.
Mm-hmm.
We were pretty well represented within the district, and I think St. Charles West went on to beat Wright City.
Yes.
To move on.
Yeah, they did.
So, it seems to work like that. In the past we've had Warrenton in there. Obviously they've moved up.
Yeah, they're in 5 now. Yeah.
But we'll see how it works out. I think the district will probably be pretty similar this year as it was last year. So, it's good.
Very good. Very good. Coach, a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Everybody, Winfield Warriors head coach Jamie Stokes. Make sure you check out Winfield, and all you fans, all you student body, get out there and cheer for these guys. Help them out. We're hoping to get out and check out the Winfield team. We've got a plan. I know we got our GAC game of the week on Tuesdays, and we've pretty much set the schedule. We got some of the big boys,
Yep.
and because it's fun. But we've got a plan for you guys going to be in the GAC Classic this year?
Yeah. As far as I know, I'm not sure who we're going to play yet, but I think
So
we've
we
been in
might-
it every year. So
we're going to work to get throw you guys on one of those games.
awesome.
Because we'll be out there. We did 2 double headers last year,
Mm-hmm.
so hopefully we can work that out and get you guys in one of those.
Good deal.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Sweet, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Lots of fun. Folks, appreciate you joining us. If you like what we're doing, again, hit the subscribe button. We got a contest rolling around. If you hit the subscribe button, throw in the comment down there. We love Prime Sports Midwest. That'll get you entered into the contest. We got a bucket of balls, a fungo bat, and a hitting net. We have a youth baseball starter kit back here, Coach.
Awesome.
It's pretty impressive. I think so. But you got to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you're subscribed already, you cannot unsubscribe and resubscribe. You have to be a non-subscribed person and now subscribe. And remember, in the comments, we love Prime Sports Midwest. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. And hitters, got any advice for the hitters, Coach?
Take balls, hit strikes.
Another good one. Man, we're getting, these guys are, that's why the GAC is so good right there. Everybody, we'll see you all next time.